and welcome to our kids service. We're so excited for you to see everything that we have for you. But before we do that, we need you to stand up, make some room, because we're gonna jump into some worship.
Hey kids, let's put our hands together as we sing Greater. Greater. Let's put those hands together.
Son who walked the earth, humble author of all light and love and hope. We're gonna sing it like we mean it. Sing like we believe it.
Let's hear it. You're greater.
You're stronger. Your power ever strong in us. Your love is never giving up. You're greater. Gonna sing it like we mean it.
Jesus, you are so great.
Gonna sing like we believe.
We love you so much. There's only one name. It's your name, Jesus. Your mighty name.
And his mighty name is Jesus. His mighty name is Jesus. You're greater. You're stronger. Your power ever strong in us. Your love is never giving up. You're greater. You're greater.
That didn't go as planned. Hey everybody, I'm so thankful for you being here with us today. I sure hope that it's the last of that dragon, though. I'd like to go back to being a princess again. This month we've been exploring the story of Esther. We've seen that the story is not a fairy tale about a girl becoming a queen, but a story about how God is always at work in our lives and how we can serve God. But before we get to our Bible story today, let's start with the big answer. What is the big answer? It's the answer to the big question. This is a question that you should get from that important adult in your life, and that is, what did you learn in kids' church today? Our big answer for today is speak out against wrongdoing. And our memory verse for this series comes from the book of Esther, and it says, "Who knows? Perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Esther chapter 4, verse 14. The story of Esther happens during the Babylonian exile. God had promised to bless the Israelite people, even bringing them out of slavery in Egypt. But the people kept turning away from God over and over again. In fact, things got so bad that God allowed the Israelites to be captured by other nations, like the Babylonians and then the Persians. But even while the people were still captive in the faraway land, they were still people who loved and honored God. And Esther was one of those people. Esther and her cousin Mordecai were forced to keep their religion quiet because King Xerxes, the king of Persia, and especially his top official Haman, didn't like the Jewish people. Esther became queen of Persia after King Xerxes fired his first queen. Her name was Queen Vashti. You might be wondering why King Xerxes was mad at Queen Vashti. We read about it in Esther chapter 1, verse 12. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command that was delivered by his servants. The king became furious, and his anger burned within him. Queen Vashti declined to follow the king's command to come to his party. See, in those days, men and women kept themselves separate from each other. So while the king was partying with the rich men of his kingdom, probably playing like Fortnite or something, the queen was celebrating with the rich man's wife, singing karaoke to their favorite artist songs. Okay. Maybe they weren't doing that at the parties, but what the king commanded the queen to do was considered shameful and improper. The king knew better, and so did the queen. Maybe you've been in a similar situation where someone tried to convince you to do something wrong. Maybe you were sleeping over at a friend's house and they wanted to watch a show or a movie or play a game your parents have told you you're not allowed to play or watch. Or maybe a friend tried to get you to gossip about another kid at school and make fun of them. If you said no, did the friend get upset with you or say hurtful things to you or about you? If you said yes to doing what you knew was wrong, did you do it because you were afraid of making the friend angry or because you didn't want to look bad in front of your friend? The queen's refusal to come to the party made the king look bad in front of his guests. He wasn't just angry, he was embarrassed. Instead of taking responsibility for asking his wife to do something that society knew was wrong, he decided to blame her for making him look bad in front of the others. As the king, Xerxes was in a place of authority. This meant his job was to serve and protect the people in his kingdom. However, his party and his behavior there are examples of what happens when someone is in a position of authority and that authority is abused. His party was all about him. He was more focused on people making him feel good than he was interested in being a good king. Think of all the rules you follow every day, and then think about all the people in authority who sometimes tell you what to do. It might seem like there's too many rules. There's too many people in authority. But have you ever wondered what might happen if there were no rules and no people in authority? What would happen if someone started causing trouble? What if jobs didn't get done that had to be done? Who would settle arguments or protect people's rights? Romans chapter 13 verses 1 through 3 says, "Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you." That tells us that we are to respect the authorities that God has placed over us. But when those authorities abuse their position or ask us to do something that we know is wrong, it is important for us to say no. Saying no might cost us something, like it cost Vashti her position as queen. But when we choose to do the right thing, we can trust that God will be with us no matter what happens. Shortly after Esther is named the new queen, her cousin Mordecai was able to speak up about a plot to kill the king. We read about it in Esther chapter 2, verses 21 through 23. One day, Mordecai was on duty at the king's gate when two of his servants, who were guards at the door of the king's private quarters, became angry at King Xerxes and plotted to assassinate him. But Mordecai heard about the plot and gave the information to Queen Esther. She told the king about it and gave Mordecai credit for the report. When an investigation was made and Mordecai's story was found to be true, the two men were impaled on a sharp pole. This was all recorded in the book of the history of King Xerxes' reign. The king might not have been the best king, but murder is always wrong. When Mordecai heard that the king's life was in danger, he did the right thing in telling Queen Esther so that she could warn the king. The two would-be killers were brought to justice, but Mordecai was initially forgotten by the king. He should have been rewarded immediately for doing the right thing. He didn't just save the king, he saved the kingdom by preventing it from falling into leaderless chaos. Mordecai spoke up because he knew it was the right thing to do, not because he wanted a reward. Later, though, we'll see that God waited until just the right time for the king to remember and reward Mordecai for his actions. Last week, we learned about Haman's plot to destroy all the Israelites. He was angry with Mordecai for not bowing down to him, so he had the king issue a ruling to destroy all the Israelites. This was Esther's opportunity to speak out when she learned of Haman's plans for Mordecai. At first, she was hesitant because she could not approach the king without being summoned. Esther explained to Mordecai in Esther chapter 4, verse 11, all the royal officials and people of the royal provinces know that one law applies to every man and woman who approaches the king in the inner courtyard and who has not been summoned, the death penalty. Unless the king extends the gold scepter, allowing that person to live. I have not been summoned to appear before the king for the last 30 days. However, Esther took the time to fast, which included praying, and ultimately decided it was better for her to do the right thing and risk her own death than to hide behind the rules and hope that things worked out on their own. Doing the right thing isn't always easy. It might not always be popular, and in Esther's case, it was even dangerous. Even though the story of Esther doesn't mention God by name, we see that God is still watching over all of his children. He is with us when we have to make difficult decisions. Like Queen Vashti, Mordecai, and Esther, we too can speak out against the wrongdoings we see around us. Are your classmates picking on a new kid on the playground? Ask them to stop, and if they don't, get an adult involved in the situation. Do you see something happening in the world that shouldn't be happening? Stand up, be an advocate, and use your voice. Even as elementary-age kids, you can make a difference in the lives of those around you. Just like our big answer says, speak out against wrongdoing. Oh no, not again. Thought I was finished with this dragon. It's so terrifying. Oh my goodness. Oh, stay away. Stay away. No.
It's time for Memory Verse Breakdown!
Hey kids, today we're going to break down this week's memory verse. Are you ready? Okay, here's this week's memory verse. Think you've got it? Try saying it out loud. All right, let's take some words away. You think you still got it? Try saying it out loud again. All right, let's bring those words back in and see how you did. Did you get it right? Awesome! Well, that's this week's memory verse breakdown. How'd you do?
Memory Verse Breakdown! Game time!
It's time to play the exploding fruit game. Everybody stand up and get ready to choose your favorite fruit. For cantaloupe, stand on the left side of the room. For watermelon, stand in the middle. For honeydew, stand on the right. Choose wisely, because if your fruit explodes, you're out of the game! chose watermelon, you are out. This time we have a pineapple, a coconut, and a watermelon. You know what to do. If you chose the pineapple, then you're out. And for the last round, we have a coconut, a cantaloupe, and a pineapple. Good luck! If you chose the coconut, I'm afraid you're out. Thanks for playing with us. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Before you leave, have that important adult in your life go to lifechurchgreenbay.com/kids, where you can grab our Kids Connect card. There you can discuss our big answer, memory verse, and even more. We love you so much. Have a great week.